Welcome to our farmhouse. If you're new here, my name's Jeanette, and my husband Jeremy and I have been raising chickens and gardening ever since we got married about 19 years ago. This last summer we moved our 6 kids out onto 6 acres and we raised 8 turkeys, got our first milk cow, and got our first 2 piglets. We are participating in the Pantry Challenge this January and February, and basically our main goals of this Pantry Challenge are to use up most of the things that we have produced on our farm this last year, use up all the stored produce or things that we've frozen or canned so that we can get ready for the new season on our homestead. So tonight for dinner I'm going to be making a butternut squash soup using one of our homegrown butternut squashes. I got started earlier in the day with a couple of projects. I continued working on some sourdough bread bowls. I started these last night and worked on them this morning and this afternoon, and I'm about to put them in the oven. I skimmed off a bunch of cream from our cow's milk to make some butter. For tonight's soup, I'm going to chop up one of our homegrown butternut squash and I add that to homemade turkey stock. I find that my kids sometimes get tired of pureed soups and don't like to eat them as much. So that's why I'm going for the bread bowls today. I either like to serve them with some crackers that they can put in or serve them in a bread bowl. So I thought this would be a fun way to serve this soup tonight. And just boil it till it gets all soft, and then I'll puree it along with some applesauce, sugar, ginger, salt, and then some cream from our cow, and puree that all up into a nice soup. Tonight for dinner, I am going to use up another one of these butternut squash and make this pasta that has butternut squash and asparagus and mushrooms. Sadly, we had to leave our asparagus patch behind at our old house, so these asparagus are from the store, and we used up our pink oyster mushrooms already, so Jeremy picked these portobellos up on clearance. So I'm going to be chopping up this homegrown butternut squash and the asparagus and the mushrooms, and then you mix it all up with the pasta from our storage pantry with a nice sauce made from our Homestead cream and some turkey broth that I made the other day, flavored with homegrown garlic and some fresh rosemary and a little bit of hard cheese on top. Jeremy made Sunday dinner for us. He made short ribs from the quarter beef that we bought last fall and cooked them up with a bunch of homegrown carrots. Making turkey stock or bone broth is always something that's going on in the background here. breakfast, Jeremy made us a Swedish pancake. Some people call this a German pancake or a Dutch baby, but we've always called it a Swedish pancake. And now my kids call it a Poppy's pancake because their grandpa that makes this for them a lot is their Poppy. We broke into our canned pickles and opened up a jar for a snack this day. They were pretty good, though my kids do say they think they prefer the refrigerator pickles we made last summer instead. Tonight's plans are to use up some of these sweet potatoes that we grew in the garden by roasting them with a little bit of chopped up bacon. And then I wanted to make some cornbread and add the rest of that corn from our garden that I thawed out for the turkey pot pie last week. And to get a little green on the plate, I'm going to open up a jar of canned green beans from our garden last summer. And just for fun, we haven't opened up one of these jars yet of the bottled peaches. So I'm going to open one of those. I think that'll be a fun treat for the kids tonight. For the cornbread, I'm going to be using some cornmeal and also some freshly ground whole wheat. I ground some of this up the other night. And then I keep it in a container in the freezer to help retain nutrients until I use it. Then I'll be using a couple of fresh chicken eggs and some soured milk from our cow that I have soured with just lemon juice. And then the rest of this bag of sweet corn from our garden last summer. The sweet potato recipe is really tasty. You dice up the sweet potatoes and toss them with some chopped up bacon. I think I'm going to start by cooking the bacon a little bit first because I'm the type of person that really likes my bacon crispy. It's such a good and savory way of eating sweet potatoes rather than always adding sweet things with the sweet potatoes. The cornbread had to go back in the oven for a couple minutes, so I dished up everyone's plates. Jeremy made us breakfast bars again for breakfast. He puts chia seeds and pepitas in these with peanut butter, and they're just really tasty and good for breakfast. Tonight's dinner is a really great pantry dinner, and it is really convenient because it's a one-pot dinner also. A lot of this cooking from scratch makes so many dishes, so I really like this one. This recipe starts out with just a couple of slices of bacon in the pan, and I'm just going to cook them up whole and crumble them after they're cooked. Add a couple of cloves of minced homegrown garlic. Always save your bacon grease. Then I'm going to add 2 kind of heaping scoops of pasta, 2 cups of homemade turkey stock, Homestead real food problems, and 2 cups of fresh cream from our cow. I bring that to a boil, and that's just going to cook. The pasta is just going to cook in that liquid. So there's no draining involved or fussing with any other pots. So this is a really convenient recipe. I'm going to cook that pasta for just about half of the cooking time, and then I'll add the frozen broccoli. And this is the other half of the bag that I made broccoli soup with last week or the week before. And then I am going to add a little bit of dried red pepper and some of these sun-dried tomatoes from our garden this summer. Sun-dried tomatoes are just amazing. They're just a super concentrated taste of summertime in a little package, and they go great in a cream-based sauce like this. Hit subscribe so you can follow along on the rest of our pantry challenge, eating up our food stores from last year.